You have a parasocial relationship, celebrity worship syndrome, authority bias, and narrative belief, then scroll this video because the truth will piss you off. And if you comment any negativity towards yourself, that just shows how much you hate yourself and what you still can't understand. Outside the symbolism, when it comes to Luciferianism, the acting was great, especially in the music videos with the scenarios, just to like what went down with the hoax of this character, because all you're basically idolizing is an inner reflection of the pain you have with your inner child that was stuck in a grown adult's body, that was still traumatized by sex trafficking, satanic ritual abuse, and Satanism in general. And inaccuracies were really alarming to see, because it's like, when will the Jackson's family or the Jackson estate, when will the people who have the green light to talk about this being's life, when will they mention the genetic engineering? When will they talk about the genetic mutilation and the satanic sexual ritual abuse and the blood sacrifices and the blood rituals and the Wicca, the witches, the warlocks that all had a hand into this character's upbringing and uprising as well? It's sickening, because even when the movie starts, I mean, in 1956, Gary, Indiana, Smoke and Mirrors, the movie literally starts out with Freemasonry, showing and telling you that you are going to be blind to mysticism. So this whole entire movie, this biopic, any different documentary or movie, when it comes to MJ, when it comes down to your inner child that had to go through abuse that you still think about today, is up in smoke and mirrors, because that's your first initiation into Luciferianism when you get on that stage. And no pun intended, but this being had a stage lifestyle that was orchestrated by the higher ups. That's exactly why the Greeks were worshiping the Koribants. Koribants meaning a YouTube video a year ago covering Michael Jordan and Michael Jackson, the same exact gematria cipher, were rustic deities connected with nature, initiation, and ecstatic ritual. And as they were worshipped not only by the Greeks, but also by the Phrygians, who called them the Keribants. Also had a hand in orgy rituals. They were associated with initiation rituals involving frenzy, dancing, and drumming. The thing is, when MJ was in the pool and telling her brothers she's channeling from source or from God, they didn't even mention the alchemical processings that she would do, or the mirror work, or the affirmations that she was doing behind closed doors to get her into these higher corporate industries to sell her morals away. And people will applaud her selling her morality just to become the most iconic being that ever walked this dimension. When you study holographic projection, projection mapping, motion capture plus CGI avatar, and Pepper's Ghost, you have to be able to ask yourself, when you leave a theater, did you believe in what Freemasons gave you because of what you're paying for, or are you applauding the sacrificing of a slave dancing to rhythm because of what the occult tell you to believe in? The people that have a parasocial bond and who practice cognitive dissonance, I'm not talking to you, because you still idolize the dead parts of your imagination. Scroll off this video. With the inaccuracies in this biopic when it comes to Michael and whatnot, for one, my inner child was just excited to even watch the video, but just taking down some notes. I took like 60 just ideologies of what I was just experiencing and witnessing through the veil of symbolism. And there's many different veils that they had to plant through each scene, and it was very precise and accurate. It happened so fast. If you're not paying attention, if you're stuck on the song and the lyrics, of course, lyricism tickling your hearing cells, if you let your hearing cells manipulate you, the deception will just fly right over your head. And according to most of these videos that I'm seeing, most of these articles, most of these allegations, most of these different opinions that people have, many people miss the plot of what's really going on, and the whole entire confusion of Joseph Jackson trafficking his daughters and turning them into fucking boys. And the thing is too, they're getting fucked by men who are preying on boys, and people are applauding them for singing songs and hitting the top charts. And you have to ask yourself, when you sell your morality away, when you sign that contract in blood and you're doing blood rituals, what do you gotta do to be the #1 song, to get the #1 song on the top charts? Please tell me, what do you have to do? They were telling you in the song what they did to get to where they are, and people still honor the oath and clap for it. They support that shit because they're adorable, because of the audience psychology. People are psychologically being manipulated, and they still miss the point of what the Jackson family is still afraid to say out loud, because they know what kind of judgment will come. That's why their whole entire bloodline is under eternal torment. That shit's so sick to me, and it's really weird that adults will hear something like what I'm saying, and then they'll make it seem as if you don't know what you're talking about. But the thing is, though, the average citizen has an elementary school level education. You don't even know how to read your own articulation nor your own language. So when somebody transcends your language that you fail to comprehend, you want to belittle them, just like how Michael Jackson was belittled. But you honor the belittling of children because you went through the same exact grooming condition. So when somebody's talking about stunning development or arrested development and all this shit's being brought to light on how these kids were groomed and trafficked by the elite class in these crowds and in these theaters, then it's just like you want to act like, oh, my mind doesn't want to hear that. I'm disregarding what you're saying, but I love Michael. It's just like, no, you don't. You love the image that was sold to you, but you never understood what the selling meant to you, because what really is meant for you and to you is the reason why you are asleep, to what you still can't even read or even calculate if you had the calculations correctly. I remember seeing this video before, and at first I thought to myself, this makes no sense. But now, as I gradually just keep on doing research on Saturnalian occultism and just the symbolism with the occult in general, with higher degrees of just the works within these dark arts, Michael Jackson could never tell you how to escape Saturn, because for one, if Michael Jackson told you how to escape Saturn, she would never be famous. And two, if Michael Jackson told you how to escape Saturn, then Michael Jackson would still be here right now telling you about how this stuff could never keep you free from what you thought you could escape from, because the trap was simply letting time measure up to the things that child trafficking is keeping many people within the masses blind to. You cannot escape what you're trapped by, what you're bound to. And the symbolism for Saturn, as far as devouring children, for example, think about all the pattern recognition that came down to this character's attachments. And then with the rings of Saturn, that symbolizes your mental enslavement. So that means many people who were mesmerized, who are admired by the being's auric field or just the being's presence in general, that keeps your allyization an allowance to letting you be asleep to the things that you think you're able to see or things that you're able to idolize. But the idolization of Saturnalian occultism is the reason why you are constantly sacrificing these characters you think are supposed to be celebrities, but you have celebrity worship syndrome. So you're idolizing your nature, and that's why she made the song Human Nature. But why do y'all do her that way? And when you listen to the lyricism, she's literally telling you about how to praise and appeal towards your nature, appeal towards devouring children, appeal towards doing blood rituals, praise and idolize and worship and honor these initiations that get you into Luciferianism so you can have whatever you want and you can live in peace and joy and harmony. That's music to you, though. So as Saturnalian occultism, think about time and limitation. This being from 9 to 5 was constantly getting abused and beat if one step wasn't right or if one note wasn't hit correctly. But why is that? It's all according to the time that you keep on wasting your attention towards. The next one could be closure and reset, or aka death and rebirth cycles, and it's linked to an ending that causes you to transcend. So the being just went through an initiating process or a ritual summoning that allowed her spirit to observe what you still keep on being emotional about, letting you know that you're under your own mind control because you think as if this being really died, but yet consciousness still thrives as your mirror. So who's the man in the mirror? Shout out to you, RDR. I'm just going to call you RDR. But you didn't say anything. So when you said this, I'm realizing that I said so much and I made so many videos on Michael Jackson that you chose not to listen. And that's the thing, you're hard-headed. You choose to listen to the things that you want to listen to because the things that you care about, the things that you look into, the things that you drain yourself with are the things that make you feel good. And I'm not here to do that. I'm not here to make you feel good with the information that I take time into researching and spreading towards the world. And that's the thing. You refuse to do that and you want somebody to do it for you. And then when we go deeper into the rabbit hole and we're showing you the surface of what's really happening, you still say, so can you go deeper? Or will you just say or tell us that we don't know anything? None of us know about the occult. That's why you go every single day asking questions and critically thinking about what's being fed to you. But you consume so much of the media. I mean, you're a singer and a songwriter. And you understand the works of having to write your own music in the music industry and whatnot, but you're still asking questions about the occult and you know what's going on. You have direct ties towards it, and you still gonna ask me a rhetorical question about what you know already. But because you refuse to do your own research, you want to ask me about what I know. And I already have documented proof of my research being over hours of what you still won't take time to listen to for yourself because you're afraid of the evidence really being true. And to answer your question, we can always go deeper. Michael Jordan and Michael Jackson, gematria codes exposing occult traffickers and inverted identities. 1 year ago, Michael Jackson, gematria, 1, 2, 3, 4 ciphers, all adding up. Let's go deeper again. Read the entries. What do you see? Read the fucking script. What do you see? What is in front of your face? And if you deny it, that's how you know that this evidence right here is showing you your own script, and you're going to go against it because you never take time to read into what you signed up for. How deep would you like this video to go? Because I'm showing you the surface level of occultic ties and showing you her allegiance to the Baphomet, showing you the pentagram and that being inverted, and showing you her works and how she got to be on stage, how she got to be iconic. So how deep do you want this genetic inversion to be? Who is Michael Joseph Jackson in simple gematria? 1. Joseph Jackson mentality. Right or wrong? What does this mean? How so? Stop being lazy. In Neverland, years earlier during a visit they had made to the park, their estate faces sexual abuse allegations from 4 siblings who claim they were groomed and brainwashed by pop superstar. And many people who watch this, you can deny all you want as well. But the thing is, nobody is just saying this shit for no reason. Like, people can say anything, but you're not going to just say claims like this. You're not going to vocalize what you went through, because that, for one, can be belittling, degrading, and you can receive death threats and all that because people love Michael Jackson, clearly. So by them even saying that, we had to just be open-minded. We had to be able to do our own research and understand why this is being said. But it's not far-fetched, because in order for you to get to being a billionaire, for you to being a child prodigy, you had to go through the same conditionings that you yourself are practicing. So if you were trafficked as a child and you were getting touched on by CEOs and label executives and women who are really men and all these elite, wealthy class people in power, if you're getting groomed by them, getting fondled on, getting touched on, abused, all different types of nasty ways, and your father's doing it to you and your siblings, you're going to have stunning development and arrested development as well. When you get older, and those same CEOs who traffic you to different industries, different corporations, different business partners, or just different networking avenues, what do you think they would want you to do so you can remain on top of the charts? And of course, you can say you can have the dead internet theory, you can scan people, stage just different views, analytics, because you can tweak the numbers. But we got to give credit when it's due. Michael Jackson was and still is, I mean, one of the greatest musicians of all time. But that's the sacrifice right there. Like, Michael was a slave to the rhythm and not really being like the rest of the children in her neighborhood and just in life. She thought as if sleeping in bed or showering with kids or having them in her vicinity was okay. It's disgusting. And as we can see, we got the Skull and Gate. Shout out to you. And I've seen this right here. And this is how you know, just because you have a degree, it does not mean that what you're saying is truthful. And many people will just say these things because they get paid to say it or they get paid to do so. But when you contradict everything, you question everything, really ask yourself, why are you telling us about a character that was handled a script that society still thinks is believable? Why would I believe in you when you're also a part of the game? You're also a part of the circus act. These people are all higher level degree Masons. So they're all in the same fraternity and sorority. Why would they tell you the truth? They're only giving you things to believe in because that's what they were told and forced to say. Because if they don't say it, do they get to keep their lights on? Are their bills going to be paid? What happens to their family? What happens to them? What happens to their image as far as according to society and how this person is viewed to them? So we're doing reflections. So from the beginning of the videos that you've seen, well, at the beginning of my video with the videos that you ended up seeing, the biopic of Michael was inaccurate because they never talked about the genetic engineering or the steps that Joseph took into trafficking essentially her children into the entertainment industry. And I know many people will disagree with this opinion, and that's okay. That's fine with me. I really will never care about that. The thing is, you never were meant to attach yourself to stage actors. And Michael herself even admitted to being or wanting to be the best entertainer, the best actor of all time. And she worked with affirmations, channeling, dark magic, light magic, and hoodoo, voodoo, Wicca, blood rituals, alchemy. So all these different practices, sorcery, these spiritual works of the occult are hidden bodies of advanced sciences that teach people to agree with genetic inversion. And life itself is genetically engineered. So basically, these trees behind me are flowers. Not only are they flowers, they're male flowers. They're not woman or feminine flowers. I'm saying that because, too, these are not trees. Because trees, to me, are what you would see as cell phone towers or skyscrapers or the trees in Avatar, for example. That, to me, is what a tree would mimic. Not only just that, we are not even human, because to be human is to be wise of what you still can never fathom. We were giant in our nature, but what happened? How did we descend in consciousness? By constantly casting spells of ritualistic initiations into Luciferianism. So the Korribons, by the Phrygians or these ancient Greek mimics. These ancient Greek, I would say, initiators of duality were infatuated and they were idolizing the Korribons. The Korribons are technically what Michael Jackson was and still is. That's why if you watch the biopic movie, it says his story continues. They're basically manipulating you into, for one, genetic inversion, and two, genetic manipulation internally. Basically telling you that what you see is a man in the mirror, but yet the flamboyancy, the loose ways of the being's biology is what's so fucked up about her nature. That's why the allegations of her preying on kids and the FBI claiming that it's not evident and whatnot, that's the cover up. That's the whole entire point of getting people to believe false narratives, misinformation, if you will. Stage fans, stage actors. So as I'm saying stage actors, Joseph knew. And the thing is too, I documented 60 key points on the video. I'm not gonna go through all of them because there's no point. But my thing is too, I mean, there is a point, but why would you care? So as soon as you see it, Smoke and Mirrors, 1956, Gary and Anna. When I seen that shit, I said, oh, off the muscle. Y'all are basically telling us the first stage into Freemasonry. And many of you who go against me, I don't mind. I promise you. I appreciate you. Because that's your positioning in life, to go against and to neglect what I'm telling you, because you practice cognitive dissonance. So, and you practice ego identity as well, or ego protection. I realized that in the beginning, when they showed the smoke and the mirror, who's the man in the mirror? Joseph already had the Jackson 5 ideology planted into her bloodstream. Mind you, they're all a family of actors. Actors because they knew that Michael was going to be the one. That's why they planted a character for you to worship. When the being ended up coming to life, mind you, incubator babies, Cabbage Patch Kids, These advanced minds of ancient consciousness, Egyptian or ancient Kemet consciousness, study the Egyptian schools of mysteries or mysticism. What did Michael Jackson say? Wanted to be majestic, wanted to be mystical, wanted to be a mystery. So by her admitting this shit, her whole entire life was once again smoke and mirrors. As a child, when you are born, in order for your mom and your dad to have their burdens lifted, you have to be that sacrifice. And you don't have, once again, contradict everything, question everything. I'm telling you this because I went to go see it 2 days ago. Did my research further. A year ago, I already made a video on this stuff, talking about how it happened, how her and Michael Jordan had interconnected ties. Not only just that, Stevie Wonder is Michael Jackson or the Jackson family's cousin. So Joseph already had ties to the industry. So it's like Young Dolph being related to Juice WRLD. How? Or when that girl, when she had a project of all presidents being connected, how? That lets you know that the things that you are seeing are being conditioned in your mind to manipulate your emotions. So emotionally, you are being sedated to being in an infinite cycle of conditioning loops. Loops basically telling you that the abuse that you go through, you translate that to Michael Jackson because you want to go through escapism through pain that's being trafficked within music. Her pain was the expression of what she was going through. That's why it went into an instrumental. That's why it went on beat. She was a slave to the rhythm. That's why I can never misgender the truth. You choose to go against that truth because of what you were conditioned to thinking was Michael. And I'll just go through them as well. So Steel Mill, Booked a Gig, Reading Peter Pan After Getting Whipped, Stunning Development, Regal Theater 1968, Joe was pimping them out just so he didn't have to work, Grown Women Preying on Them, On Stage to Perform for the Elite Class with Wealth and Power, Motown Agents Want to Offer a Price Towards God-Given Talent, the things he can do with that voice. 1969, Motown wrote a song for them, ABC, Gematria. Why did Motown produce and direct them to teaching the world Gematria in the 60s and 70s as well? Why? Why did Motown do that? What was the reason for that? Who told Motown to give the Jackson 5 their own cartoon? What do you have to do to have your own cartoon as a child? And why is this child the lead singer? What does Payne have to say in that voice? If Michael, if she, mind you, the Jackson 5 were all sisters. And think about Janet and LaToya and the other Jacksons that Joseph Jackson's had a secret family with. The moment Michael, when she would have the wrong tempo on a certain beat, a certain octave or the wrong note in her vocal cords, abuse. Why? Because Joseph, she knew what that was like in her family. So the bloodline, the curse, it trickles down. And my thing is too, why are you naming a child Blanket? What's so comfortable about child abuse? Think about the symbolism in what Michael Jackson named her kids. Not only just that, how do you go from being my complexion to European? Motherfuckers will sit up here and say, vitiligo, you don't know about that, I suffer from that. That's what they are telling you to believe in. You never walked up to MJ and said, is that what vitiligo is like? You never seen that. They only taught you and told you what to see. Not only just that, majority of us were not born when this shit happened. You were introduced to Michael when the being was like in the late 40s and 50s when she died. So who though? She died to your perception, but yet through introspection, she's still living away from your awareness. Duh. That's why they become billionaires, because they do the weird, sadistic, satanic shit to get them ownership and to get them to be the greatest idol of all time. What do you have to do to have your own cartoon as a child? Tell me. Because you don't just go to the entertainment industry and say, hey, I want to be a musician artist, or I just want to be an artist in general. I want to be an entertainer. You don't just get hired for that. No, you have to go through some practices, some initiations. You have to go through some rituals, hazing, if you will. This shit ain't no different from a college fraternity and sorority. These people are sick. So when Michael had these allegations, they ain't come from nowhere, my nigga. And what's even more fucked up, they didn't even tell you
how the being was a hollow vessel the moment she got on stage for Motown. The moment she was trafficked to Berry Gordy and whatever, that was it. The moment you see her on stage, it was over with. That was not her anymore. They took the purity of Michael, and I ain't even gonna say cloning because we don't believe in cloning. They replicated the consciousness, altered the voice with AI, and they basically displayed a hologram with light fixation and light codes and different chemicals mixed in the air to give you this aroma of a kid just dancing to the beat, singing to how she's feeling. That's why she wanted to bring escapism, joy, peace, and love to the world. But what kind of love is that when you're still going through abuse? She was a child going through stunted development in a grown-up's body. She never had the time to process her childhood because it was taken from her. All to be staged as an actor. Excuse me. Gordy was telling her, keep your feet still, grooming him to get rid of his energy. His voice is trafficked because pain has something to say. Hot 100 and ABC was #1, but what do you got to do to make the charts? Joseph trafficked the Jackson 5 so that he didn't have to work in a steel mill. And many people will sit up here and justify Joseph whooping their ass. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm all for an ass whooping when it comes down to children who act out. But you whooped them so bad, and even Michael. You whooped Michael so bad that Michael would vomit at the sight of just anxiety and fear. Imagine fearing your father to where you weren't even allowed to call your father dad. You had to call him by his first name, by her first name. What was she so mad about? The Biopic didn't touch on that because you would start questioning what's really going on. Go back and watch that shit if you already watched that shit. Excuse me. Excuse me. The constant humility or humiliation, telling her you have a big nose, and relating to that as a child as well. People don't know what that shit does to you. So the nose job was an excuse because, mind you, Michael did not care about all of that. The Michael before you seen her on stage when she went to Motown and became, iconic at that age. People didn't know the Michael with the nose procedure and shit like that, or how the nose already was. But Joseph was told what to do and how to handle the acting. Mind you, these are staged characters. They're all characters. They're all video game performances. And people are mind blown by what Michael Jackson provided. What did she do? Think about the song Human Nature. If you listen to that song after this video, tell them that it's human nature. Why do they do me that way? I like living this way. I like loving this way. What are you talking about? And then by her saying, by her elongating the why, she's asking her ego, why does she love this way of living? Genetically engineering your child will bring you fame, success, being an icon, being loved, validated, getting whatever you want. But that comes with a price. That comes with a cost. You will never be able to transcend duality ever again. Because you will always think as if money matters. You will always think as if being iconic, being the greatest of all time matters. Don't get me wrong, affirmations are the best. But when you go to these industries and you sell your morals with those people, those Europeans, they are basically showing you history repeats itself. The Korribans were also initiators for orgy rituals, blood rituals. So when these higher ups were commanding these entities, these semi-divine beings, to dance for them for their amusement, they also had children involved, pentagrams involved. They have all these cannibalistic practices going on. The same shit happened with Human Nature. When she was singing that song, she's basically singing to Satanists, telling you, like, she's basically saying thank you. I don't know why, they do me this way, but I like living this way. I like loving this way. She likes to love on children to where she slept in bed with children. Parents were okay with trafficking their children to Michael Jackson's estate or Neverland. Symbolism from Neverland. Peter Pan and the Lost Boys. People don't know the inversion on Peter Pan. Peter Pan's story was told to impressionable minds. Peter Pan is Captain Hook. Captain Hook is Peter Pan. What do I mean? Captain Hook is the hero. Peter Pan is the villain. Peter Pan trafficked Captain Hook and his entourage. But people don't know that Captain Hook was always waiting for Peter Pan to come to this figment of the lost children's imagination. When Peter Pan would get these children to fight Captain Hook, what was that for? For her protection. That's why Tinkerbell was just a medium who would not say shit. But if you study the awareness of her being, she's basically the devil on your right and left shoulder in one form, in one source, in one entity. That's exactly why that light going out and all that other shit when it came down to Peter Pan and Captain Hook capturing the fairy. It's just like all this shit is about revenge. It's all about the clashing of duality, cognitive dissonance, or ego identity and protection. So when Captain Hook seen Peter Pan, it was on sight immediately because you know what you did to me and my entourage, so we got to get our get back. That's why it's basically trafficked children fighting trafficked children. 1971, store and take pictures of me. I'm not like the other kid, or they stare and take pictures of me. I'm not like other kids. Let your light shine. 1978, Los Angeles, Kiss the Llama. Affirmations, you are the greatest of all time. Neverland symbols, pirates, lost boys, Peter Pan and his shadow. My nose was too big, I had to be perfect. Joseph didn't have anything to say to him about the nose job. Michael wanted to reinvent himself to the European family and satisfy their ideologies on his character. Capitalize on Michael's album. Joseph exploiting Michael, right or wrong. He wanted his freedom, but he said it's not easy. He said it's not that easy because she or he wasn't ready. 1981, the biggest star in the world, fired his dad, and Joseph still wants to whip him like he used to. You can't whip nobody no more, and he said everything he's done was for his family. He had no one besides animals and music. You got a lot to learn about family. He was always talking to his inner child. So when Michael was singing, Michael was literally talking to your inner child about the abuse that you are still unconscious to till this day. Joseph Jackson trafficked Michael, and they didn't show this shit in the biopic as well. Joseph Jackson was her mom, trafficked her to these CEOs that also wanted Michael when she got older. That's why Michael was able to have power over these corporations and part ownership of Sony. How is that possible? How do you own the Beatles catalog? How do you do that? So when she was a child, I'm gonna ask you again, how do you get to the top charts, Hot 100, and how do you stay there? Joseph was okay with Michael meeting with these label executives and these Hollywood stories, P. Diddy, these bodyguards, they're not telling you shit for no reason. These, what was the name? Harvey Weinstein. There are many others as well who are like P. Diddy and Harvey Weinstein. But when Michael was a child, Michael was in those studios, in those offices, taken advantage of, basically. I'm gonna basically use PG usage or terminology because it's too brutal to really conceptualize. And then when Joseph was done with the brutality, imagine Michael crying, Joseph saying, wipe those tears from your face, we got work to do. It's all about business, it's all about family. You'll understand when you get older on why you're the greatest pop star or superstar of all time. But Michael at that point didn't care about that shit. She was just a child, playing as a boy. Didn't even have a chance. So imagine you're getting butt broken as a child. You don't know why, but there's a reason why you're saving your energy, and there's a reason why you're in the closet. You're a closeted, you know what. So there's a reason why all these allegations to me now make more and more sense. And it's just like too the dancing. That's what happens when you become loose. When they start taking your booty and they start triggering different endorphins and dopamine receptors and all this shit to rewire your mind, to activate your pineal gland, to make you become more aware of the satanic abuse. That's why she was dancing on stage, holding her crotch and shit, moving and gliding through air and shit. That's literally what happens when you get your butt taken from you. These beings collectively groomed her, and Joseph was okay with that. And Joseph also did it as well. And Joseph let grown women in the crowd do it to them backstage. And the brothers or the siblings didn't do shit but keep quiet because Michael was the money maker. You better not say shit, because why? They all signed that fucking contract in blood. Well, really, Joseph did in blood. And then imagine Michael coming home. Your butt, your dignity, your morality has been taken from you. And you're told to rehearse. We have a song to play. Let's get to it. You missed one wrong step. All right, you know what? You think I'm fucking playing with you. Imagine that. Just imagine. You can't. You're not supposed to. But yet you feel some kind of way about that shit. Why? Why? When these stories are what you go through today. So who's really the man in the mirror when it's always going to be you? Human Nature was not a song made for no reason. Every song was handled by ghostwriters, handled by industry plants, literally, to let you know about your nature. Like, if you really sit down and study the lyricism, this shit's fucked up. That shit can make you shed a tear. Because humans still consent to child trafficking. Why do we have to sit up here and be content creators, be entrepreneurs, be athletes, be stars, just to be accepted in our families, just to have some fucking money, just to have financial freedom, just to have mental stability, just to have confidence, just to be loved? Why do we have to sell our morals to be loved by the people that we care about? Man, I'm about to end this video right now, bro. Because people don't know. This shit's so fucked up. They named your trauma Michael Jackson, and you still gonna pay for it. I did as well. And don't get me wrong. Me and my sibling, our inner childs love Michael Jackson. I mean, watching the music video, studying it, and the work ethic, and adopting those practices, that shit hurts. As I become more and more aware and I do my research on why this shit's going on. Thanks to genetic engineers for all this stupidity that's being played to our society. Okay, mysterious channeling. Music is a universal language and we can change that together. So Luciferianism is a universal language and we can change that together. How? By being asleep to it? Like, her whole entire life was duality. Look at her outfits. Look at the album cover with, I'm about to show you real quick. Cause the album cover with, what? Hold on. I'm about to show you. Let's see here. And if you made it this far as well, thank you for subscribing. Okay, I don't know if y'all can see that, but I'm about to show you anyway. So, this right here. Now, this is I think a director or performer of some circus. But if you study the symbolism, all this shit is Saturnian worship. Right or wrong. And I already made a video on that as well. You already seen it in the beginning of this video. So, I mean, just letting you know that universal language, her linguistic sorcery is duality. It's literally Freemasonic. So you cannot trust what she is telling you. She's only telling you what the scriptures needed her to act like. Get her music videos on MTV, Masonic television. They never played black artists, white and black. Walter was going to put CBS artists in the trash. 1983, 25 million copies. Life or Death with Joseph and expecting Michael to save his ass. Pepsi commercial was an excuse to turn him European. Worried if MJ would perform again and didn't care about his well-being. Bill, bodyguard. If he doesn't go on tour, then deals and sponsorships will go out the window. God's been good to me. 1984 Victory Tour, Masonic Colorways. 1988, his story continues means it never started or ended. And I want to go ahead and get a smoothie as well, so I'm in this video. But I want you all to know, if you go and watch this recent biopic in theaters, I will say the acting was phenomenal. But the buildup of Michael's life was way too fast. You didn't have time to dissect what's really going on. You didn't learn the genius behind the mindset and how she would get up at 2 or 3 a.m., something that you and I do, and she would just be in the studio just recording till the sun came up and shit like that. But they didn't talk about just so much shit on how the abuse was allowed for so long. They didn't really let you sit there and digest all the things that the legacy conspired itself into being displayed like, according to Jewish narratives. And the thing is too, what I realized was, the moment you do start questioning what you're being fed and what you're being told is the moment that you'll stop idolizing these characters or these hopes, because these people are simply meant to keep you stuck in a lower form of never being aware. That's why intuitively the biopic makes no sense, because if you're going to make sense of this shit, explain to humans why Human Nature was a song that pedophiles used to groom children and to sacrifice their bodies and transfer their consciousness into their purity and take their innocence from them just for money. But people don't want to hear that shit because it's MJ. Pathetic. Prosperous awakening, divine arising, and thriving energy to any being that watches mindful message with an open mind. I love you all. Thank you for liking this video and subscribing. Thank you to the new people who subscribe as well. I appreciate you. And back to reality I go.